It's time for another Love Smarter, Not Harder Q&A. Thanks for the questions. I've got 2 for you today in this IGTV. Dear Karen, like many of us, I'd love marriage and a family, but time is running out. How do you manage the fact that a guy can look at you, be attracted, get to know you, and like you, date you, and then decide, based on your age and the chances of you being able to give him children, that he doesn't want to date you anymore? It's hard because clearly we share the same values. We both want marriage and a family, but I can't change my age. And it feels like a catch-22. And it just hurts so badly that the age factor overrides anything else good about me. Such rejection and pain. And then I beat myself up about being this age and divorced and childless, like my worst nightmare when I left my abusive ex-husband is coming true. And it feels like now I have to go for guys who I may not be all that into, but who don't care so much about having children, because then they might go ahead and still date me with my advancing age. Okay, this is definitely a rough one. And you guys know I got married at 42. And so the biological clock is something that I absolutely dealt with over my years of dating, and something that I've spoken to quite a bit on the podcast, and I will continue to do so because it is a heavy duty issue. And it's one that many women wrestle with, and there are no easy answers. So my first recommendation is that you would check out 3 podcast episodes. The first one is called A Race Against Time, Beating the Biological Clock. And I interviewed 2 therapists who use strategies in cognitive behavioral therapy to help us manage these thoughts and the pressure of the biological clock. That's episode 48. The second one that will be helpful is with the same therapist, Allison Sepanera, who appeared in the first biological clock episode. And it's called Looking for Love While Living with Anxiety. Because a lot of times when we're dating with anxiety, it's oftentimes these biological clock issues that are at the forefront. And as this person who's asking this question is struggling with as well. That's episode 66. And the third podcast episode is episode 71, Own Your Timeline to Embrace Your Life Actually. And that's the interview with Laura Banky. Okay, but let's get back to the point of this particular question. 1, please do not settle for someone that you're just ho-hum about because he'll date you because he doesn't want kids so badly. Because never, ever settle is still our mantra. It's still our expectation for how we're going to date no matter what we're dealing with, no matter what kind of biological clock pressure there is. Because if you date someone that you're just okay about, and you marry him because, well, at least he'll marry me because he doesn't want kids that badly. What? I mean, just be single. What's the point of having some mediocre marriage? And you guys know I talk about that all the time. So I want to get back to the specifics of this question. And I want you to think about it the other way. So if a guy doesn't want to date you anymore because you're not going to be able to give him children, you don't want that guy anyway. And what I mean by that is because he clearly wants kids more than he wants you. Think about it that way. I've had the opposite happen. I was 37 and I met this guy and we had a lot of chemistry and we hit it off and we started dating. And I'm telling you guys, by like date 3, he said something that I'm sure he thought was a compliment. He said to me, let's just get married and get you pregnant. Now, again, I think he meant it as a compliment. He meant to say, hey, after 3 dates, I can tell we've got a lot in common and I can tell I like you enough and I think we'd be good parents together. Let's just get you pregnant. But you know how I took that? I took that as, we've been dating 3 dates. You barely know me. I mean, you know a little bit about me, but now I think you're looking at me through the lens of, I want to be a daddy so badly, and I think you'll do. I mean, you're cute enough, you're fun enough, let's do this. We'll make cute babies. That felt very much like I was just, he wanted to be a daddy, insert woman with a womb to give him babies. And that did not feel good. And it actually turned me off quite a bit. And I was 37, my clock was ticking and I wanted babies too. So it would have been very tempting for me to just go, okay, that's right. We have the same values. We both want a family. Let's do this. And I think women do that all the time. But what it felt like to me was that it was more important for him to be a dad, and the woman who allowed him to be a dad was less important. And that didn't sit well with me because I wanted to be desired for me first and foremost. And then if the family comes along, that will be a bonus. But I can't, and I couldn't, and I hope you won't. I couldn't put that as first priority, because if you put the kids as a first priority, it's putting everything out of step. It's putting everything out of sync and out of sequence. And it doesn't help your future kids, I promise you. I know this is happening a lot. People get to their scary age and they go ahead and marry somebody and they have these kids, and then the marriage, and this is from family systems research and from the family systems theory, the marriage is not strong enough. So the parents are doing their thing, but the marriage should still be above the parenting role, even though these people are the same people most of the time. But what happens is the kids are struggling because the marriage is not strong. And that sets the tone for the entire family. So getting back to your question, it is not going to be easy. There are people who absolutely will not want to date you because they're going to go, you're in your late 30s and I want babies for sure, so I'm going to go down and date someone in their late 20s. But what you're doing is weeding out someone who wants a family more than he wants you, and you don't want that. You really don't. So I hope that looking at it that way can help take the pressure off you and help you see that really if someone weeds himself out of the running because he's not 100% certain if you're going to be able to procreate, that's not your guy anyway. Question 2. All right. Dear Karen, I wanted to ask you about a guy I had some dates with. He canceled on the 3rd date, and he said that he really liked me and enjoyed our dates, but it's been 6 months since a recent breakup he had, and he's not ready to move on or date seriously. So I replied with a lovely message that I totally understood and I totally understood how he was feeling, and I wouldn't put any pressure on him, and I'm not in any rush, but I'm not going to sleep with anyone casually. It's not my thing. And he said he wanted to stay in contact and maybe go for coffee again at some point. And now I'm feeling like I ruined it in my last text by telling him to leave things alone for now, and that since he's not in the headspace, that I really don't want to see him just for coffee, even only if he was still available. I'm not sure I'm getting that right, but you guys get the gist. And I feel like I pushed him away to avoid getting hurt. And I am open to dating other people and just having fun. Should I contact him or should I leave it? This guy's been very sweet and honest from the start. And he said his messages were not an easy way out, and that he genuinely really enjoyed our dates and would like to meet, but he's afraid that he cannot meet my expectations. And I know he needs space, but I don't want him to think that I've cut him off either. Okay, so this is another one where he's showing you what he wants, and whether it's because he's just gotten out of something serious in the last 6 months, or whether he's just not 100% certain if you guys are a fit, you're not going to scare away the right guy. That's the most simplest way to put it. You really aren't. In fact, the right guy, if you gave him a text where he was like, wait, what does she mean by that? He's going to come after you. He's not going to let you go. And so if he's not 100% certain, it sounds like he's just not. He's not certain. Maybe, again, he's reeling from this recent breakup and he doesn't want to go full force into anything. He doesn't want to lead you on. And by you telling him, I don't want to sleep with anybody who I'm not in a committed relationship with, that was great. You were being clear and you're setting your expectations and letting him know. And if he still wants to get coffee, well then get coffee or not. But if you're protecting yourself by saying, I'm not going to get coffee with him because I know I'm going to continue to catch feelings, and he said he's not going to move forward with this, and I'm not going to sleep with him, so what's the point? That's cool too. You didn't ruin anything. You were just being honest and upfront with where you are, and he was being honest and upfront with where you are. And again, if you want to get coffee, fine, but you didn't. There's nothing wrong with that. You didn't scare him off. He's not ready, and he's not going to pursue things right now. But at the same time, he's got your number. And so if it's legitimate that he's just waiting until his heart is ready to move forward, he's got your number and he can look you up. What I would recommend, though, is, as you noted, you said that you were open to dating other people. You absolutely should. The worst decision here would be to put yourself on a shelf and wait until he's ready. Because, and I talked over this question with my husband, and so he said, it's not that you're going to play any games or like go to a party with a new date on purpose when you know that this other guy's going to be there and be flaunting this new guy, because that's not fair to the new guy that you're dating. It's not fair to use him to try to get the other guy jealous. But if this guy sincerely does have feelings for you and he may need a little nudge, my husband says it's not a bad idea for him to know that you are pursuing other people, because my husband thinks, Dan is convinced that sometimes guys don't know what they have until there's a little pressure on them. So it wouldn't be bad if you guys continue to text back and forth, or if he reaches out and says he wants to grab coffee, you could say, yeah, let's grab coffee, and then slip into the conversation just very casually. Again, not playing games, not trying to make anyone jealous, but just let him know you've been very upfront with him so far. Continue to be upfront with him, and just let him know, yeah, so I'm seeing other people and blah, blah, blah. Just, again, in passing. Very easy breezy. Nothing, again, that feels manipulative. But, so I want to bring Dan's perspective in, because I think it's always good for us to get the male point of view as well. That's my Q&A for today. Love smarter, not harder. I hope it's helpful. Keep the questions coming. You can record them on my webpage, on my website, on the homepage, and you can record them as an audio file, and then I can slip them into a podcast episode, or you can just message me, DM me. I'll send you over also to the website, because there's a place where you can subscribe, and there's a message section, and you can put the question in there, and then that way I can address it in an IGTV Q&A. Love smarter, not harder, guys. Have a great weekend.